Hi, everyone. I'm Rosemary Miller here with Sheila Kahyaoglu, a Jeffries research analyst, here to give us an earnings reaction for Boeing. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sheila.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Sheila, the first thing we're going to talk about is Boeing said they cannot set 2024 financial goals due to the 737 MAX 9 plane issues. Could you explain a little bit more about what they're talking about there?
Sure. So Boeing did not provide 2024 financial guidance given what's going on with the MAX. The MAX is a very important part of Boeing's free cash flow story, about 60% of it, depending on what free cash flow you assume per aircraft. They delivered 396 aircraft in 2023. We didn't know what the production rate really was until this call, and Boeing stated they're producing at about 38 per month. What they also said is that they're not going to deliver all 38 a month that they produce until they get some rhythm going. So although we didn't get a number on how many MAXs they're going to deliver, we kind of could glean what they're going to deliver, which we estimate to be about 500 deliveries based on management's commentary of about 38 per month or less than that on production. And they're also going to deliver most of the aircraft that they have in inventory on the MAXs, which are about 150 units. So that calculates to about 500 MAXs that they'll deliver on our estimates, on our assumptions based on what management's just stated, and then assume a free cash flow per aircraft with that. So Boeing is not stepping in front of the FAA by giving a guidance number for their deliveries, but you could imply based on what they said.
So, do you believe that that was a wise decision that they made to not give the financial guidance, or was it perhaps an overreaction?
I think it's a wise decision because history has told us that stepping in front of the FAA has not proven to be a positive move for Boeing. So just having the FAA dictate where Boeing's production is the way to go about it. And with the FAA doing that, they're unable to provide clear guidance. That way there's no, mark for them to miss.
And how has Boeing stock performed since they made this announcement?
So I believe Boeing shares are currently up as we are recording this, given that there is no bogey and, sentiment going into this was pretty negative. Boeing's lost about $30 billion in market cap over the last month or so. And what that tells us is that, basically consensus took out a decent chunk of MAX deliveries. So we just talked about 500 deliveries that we think management is essentially guiding to. And what the implied loss of market cap is telling us is that Boeing lost about, $30 billion in market cap at a 6% yield. That's $1.5 billion of free cash flow. So consensus took out 150 deliveries. So that was, the 500 is better than we had forecasted.
Mm-hmm. So were there any other surprises or unexpected developments in the earnings report that caught your attention?
There was positive momentum in the Q4 results. That was also free cash flow was positive given advances. Some advances came in Q4 instead of Q1. Second, commercial aircraft margins were actually better than our expectations. And then third, Boeing services, a small part of their business, which we don't talk about as much, it's about 20% of revenues, came in 100 bips ahead of our expectations as well. So 2 of 3 segments beat, while defense continued to miss in terms of the Q4 print was rather solid, as was the free cash flow that they generated in Q4.
Well, Sheila, what questions would you pose to Boeing's CEO or executives based on these earnings results?
Well, lucky for me, I got to do that on the earnings call. Our question was about the MAX 7 and 10 certification process. So the MAX has 4 variants, the 7, the 8, the 9, the 10. The 7 is not as material, just given it has essentially a single customer with Southwest. The 8 is where 90% of deliveries are flowing from, but the 10 is very important in that it will comprise about 25% of the backlog in 2026, and it needs to be certified. So that was my key question as the MAX 7 exemption was pulled. And the 10 would be a bit behind that. Does that mean the 10 would be pulled as well? And how long would a fix take to certify it without an exemption? And management answered in that it would take 9 to 12 months, which I think was received rather well and is helping contribute to the stock price reaction. Second, obviously, everybody is wondering, given the MAX has been so scrutinized since its grounding, since the crashes, how this issue happened with the Alaska door plug. What else could Boeing possibly do, just given the scrutiny and the processes already in place? What's really driving some of these issues to happen? And these issues are resulting in very severe implications, right? So I think those are the top two questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Sheila.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.